What's up, y'all? My name is Nefertiti, also known as the Corny Rainbow, and today I have the pleasure of doing a sew along for you guys with the new summer McCall's pattern 8414. This is a menswear pattern and it features some hoochie daddy shorts and a polo with a 7-inch zipper option or a 26-inch separating zipper option for the top. I'm gonna be sewing view B with our contrasting colors, and I really love this pattern. Not only do I plan on making one for my husband for this sew along, but I will also be making a couple for myself. It feels really comfy, depending on the type of knit that you use. There are a few fabric options on the back of the envelope that we're gonna get into a little bit later. I think this is a good go-to pattern for summer, and I can't wait to also make the shorts, but let's get into view B. All right, so let's take a look at the back of the pattern envelope. So on the bottom, we have a stretch guide. So if you need to check to see if your fabric stretches the right distance, you can use this at the bottom portion of the pattern. So some fabrics that we can use for this pattern are stretch knits only, such as French terry, piqué, terry, velour, and also again check the stretch guide. I will be using a rib knit for the main fabric and a ponte knit for my contrast. If you're sewing view A, you'll need a 26-inch separating exposed zipper, and if you're sewing view B with me, you will need a 7-inch exposed zipper. Pattern pieces that you will need to sew view B with me: pattern piece number 2, which is your pocket for view A and B, you're going to cut 2. Pattern piece number 3, which is your pocket band, you're going to cut 2 of fabric if you're doing view A and 2 of fabric if you're doing view B. Pattern piece number 5, which is your collar for view A and B, you're going to cut 1, and you're also going to cut 1 of interfacing. Pattern piece number 4, which is your shirt back, you're going to cut 1 on the fold, and if you are doing view B, please make sure to either fold or cut on the line where it says cut here for view B. Your front piece, pattern piece number 8, you're going to cut 1 on the fold. Pattern piece number 7, which is your sleeve, you're going to cut 2, and also if you are doing view B with me, you're going to make sure that you're either folding up or cutting along this line for view B. Pattern piece number 9, you're going to cut 1 of fabric and 1 of interfacing. This is your front facing for your zipper. Pattern piece number 10, this is your sleeve band. You're going to cut 2 of fabric. And lastly, pattern piece number 11, which is your lower band. You're going to cut 2 on the fold. Let's go ahead and get started. Go ahead and grab your front piece, and I'm on the wrong side of the fabric. I went ahead and I transferred my markings and I cut down the center. I also did a stay stitch all the way around the dotted lines there. So now I just need to cut this little triangle. All right. So this is where we're going to insert our zipper, and this little piece will grab hold on the bottom of your zipper there. So go ahead and turn it over to the right side, and we are going to put this to the side for a second, and we're going to work on our front pockets. So go ahead and grab your pocket band, and with right sides together, we're going to fold long ways, and we're going to be matching up our notches. Go ahead and stitch at 5/8 of an inch on both sides, and then we're going to turn right side out. Trim down your corners so that you can turn this right side out. Go ahead and give your pocket band a good press, and we are going to base this open edge at 5/8 of an inch seam allowance. So I finished my basting stitch. Now we're going to grab our pocket and you should have a notch up top. So we are going to match our notches up on our pocket band, and we're going to go ahead and pin. Go ahead and stitch down at 5/8 of an inch your sleeve band to your pocket. All right, so you should have your band stitched at 5/8 of an inch to your pocket. And as you can see, it's starting to form a little bit. What we're going to do is we're going to fold in our seam allowance, and we're going to give everything a good press. And in order to get that nice corner, we're going to press up our corners, and then we're going to fold our seam allowance up. So go ahead and give everything a good press and meet me back. All right, so I've gone ahead and pressed my seam allowance in, and I've got my corners nice and neat. Now I'm gonna grab my front piece, and we're gonna go ahead and pin our pockets. So you should have markings on each side for your pockets, and we're going to match that up with the top corners of our pockets. So go ahead and pin. All right, once you have both of your pockets pinned down, we're going to edge stitch our pocket down, leaving the opening here. So just along the 3 sides. So let's head on over to the sewing machine. All right, go ahead and give everything a good press. So now we're going to pin our back to our front with right sides together, matching up our shoulder seams. What I've gone ahead and done to give a little bit more stability to my shoulders, I like to add a thin layer of clear elastic, and it just keeps everything, it helps to keep everything in place. You should also E-stitch at your shoulders on your back. So let's go ahead and pin those together. Once you've pinned down your shoulder seams, let's go ahead and pin together our side seams. So match up those notches. Go ahead and stitch or serge your shoulders and your side seams together. All right, so I've given everything a good press. I pressed my shoulder seams towards the back, and then I also did a stay stitch around my neck edge. So go ahead and do that. Once everything is pressed, we're going to put this to the side for a second. We're going to work on our collar. You should have one piece for your collar, and you should have notches on both sides. You should also have markings here. So on these top markings, we are going to do a reinforcing stitch. So head on over to the machine and reinforce. We're going to need to clip right at the dots on the inside because we're going to have to fold this edge of our collar down. Go ahead and do that and come back. All right, I've reinforced on my markings here. I'm going to go ahead and trim right at the dot. All right, and also your collar should be interfaced. So go ahead and press this down, and then we're going to trim our seam allowance down to 3/8 of an inch. So now with right sides together, we're going to fold, and we're going to stitch down our side seams at 5/8 of an inch. Go ahead and stitch down your side seams at 5/8 of an inch seam allowance. Trim down your seams and turn everything right side out and give it a good press. All right, so I went ahead and gave my collar a good press, and I've done a basting stitch on the outer edge of the collar. So go ahead and grab your shirt. We are going to pin our collar to the neck edge. Your small dots should match up with your shoulder seam. So with the folded edge facing this way, but right sides together, we're going to go ahead and pin. Match up your notches. Also match up your large dots. All right, once you have everything pinned, go ahead and baste down your collar at your neck edge. Make sure that you're not catching this folded edge. Now that we have attached our collar, we're going to install our zipper. Go ahead and grab your 7-inch zipper and open it up. You may or may not have to shorten your zipper, but I think mine is just the right length. So what we're going to do is, with right sides together, we're going to flip our zipper over and we're going to pin right along that stitching line. So my zipper stop is stopping right at that large dot where my collar and the dot meet. So just keep that in mind. Also, be sure that you are not stretching your fabric while you're attaching your zipper. Go ahead and base stitch right along your stitching lines, about 1/4 of an inch from the edge. So go ahead and base stitch this one side down all the way until we get to our corner here. So you need to mark for placement where you're stopping. Go ahead and do that. All right, let's head over to the machine. Go ahead and attach your zipper foot. Once you have your right side pinned down and base stitched down, we're going to come to the other side, and what we need to do is turn our zipper right sides together, same exact method here, and we're going to pin along the stitching line, making sure that our zipper stop is ending at that large dot. So go ahead and stitch the other side down at 1/4 of an inch seam allowance, and remember that we are basting this down. All right, so once you have basted down all this stitching for your zipper, go ahead and grab your zipper facing, and you should have done your stitching already around your zipper facing, and we're going to trim right down the middle. We're forming that same triangle, so it should fold down like this. I finished off my raw edges of my zipper facing with a serger, and you're going to need to press down 5/8 of an inch seam allowance on the shoulder top. So go ahead and trim that down to 3/8 of an inch. Open up your zipper, and we are going to pin right sides together of our shirt front to our facing. You will need to turn your shirt inside just a little bit to get to the corner there. All right, so go ahead and stitch over that same stitching line that we've already done at 1/4 of an inch seam allowance, and we're going to end at our small dot here, right where our triangle is opening up. Then we are going to pin down the other side in the same manner. I'm going to go ahead and pin down the other side in the same manner. Your dots should match up as well. Right at that corner there, we are going to stitch. Once you have stitched down your left and right side, go ahead and stitch down your little triangle area here. All right, we have attached our facing, and zip everything up, give it a good press, and we are going to stitch down our facing to our shoulder seams. All right, go ahead and turn your shirt to the inside. And now with right side of our facing to right side of our collar, we're going to match our notches. We're going to be sewing through all thickness. And your shoulder seam should end right where we snipped and folded our neck edge. All right. And we're going to pin down the other side in the same manner. So go ahead and stitch down your facing to your collar at 5/8 of an inch seam allowance and meet me back here. All right, so go ahead and trim all of this down. Turn right side out. All right, so we're still looking at it from the inside, but this is how your inside of your collar should look. We're gonna go ahead and trim right where our fold line is. Pin at your shoulder seams, your front facing. So where we pinned, we're going to be slip stitching this, and we're also going to press up our neck edge, also going to slip stitch closed the rest of our collar. You can actually do two things. You can either slip stitch or you can stitch in the ditch. I prefer to slip stitch because I want the stitches inside the collar to be pretty invisible. Go ahead and slip stitch your collar to your neck edge and your shoulder seams for your facing. All right, so go ahead and put your shirt to the side, and we're going to work on our sleeves. All right, so grab your sleeve and go ahead and match right sides together at your sides. Okay, go ahead and grab your sleeve band. So you should have notches on the outside. We're going to go ahead and fold right sides together. And we're going to pin matching our notch there. All right, so go ahead and stitch your sleeve and your sleeve band side seams at 5/8 of an inch seam allowance and meet me back here. Press your seam towards the back of your sleeve. And the way we can tell the back is we have two notches for the back of our sleeve. All right. Should have went ahead and pressed your seam allowance open on your sleeve band. Now we're going to fold wrong sides together. We're going to match up our notch and we're going to pin. Now with right sides together, we're going to pin our sleeve band to the bottom of our sleeve, matching our side seams first. Might need to stretch your band just a little bit to fit. All right, now head over to the machine and go ahead and stitch 5/8 of an inch seam allowance and press your seams toward your sleeve. Okay, so I went ahead and I attached one of my sleeves already, and this is what your sleeve should look like once you have finished off your seam allowance and pressed everything upward. So now we're going to, with right sides matching, we're going to match up our notches and attach our sleeve. Should have some markings that you will match up as well on your sleeve. All right, so go ahead and stitch and then also serge if you're using a serger. If you're not using a serger, then go ahead and stitch at 5/8 of an inch seam allowance and then stitch at 1/4 of an inch seam allowance, and you can trim your seam allowance down if you like. The very last thing that we have to do is finish off our lower band on our shirt. So if you are doing view B with me, you do have a lower contrasting band that we're going to add. So go ahead and match up your notches and stitch your side seams at 5/8 of an inch seam allowance. Fold everything down, and we're going to pin around and attach this to the bottom of our shirt. All right, so both of our sleeves are attached. Now we are going to attach our lower band to the bottom of our shirt. So you should have notches, 2 notches on the front and the back of your band, and you should also have those same notches on the bottom of your shirt. So just go ahead and start pinning with right sides together. Then you want to match up your side seams. Go ahead and stitch your lower band to your shirt at 5/8 of an inch seam allowance, and then also at 1/4 of an inch seam allowance if you're not using a serger. If you are using a serger, go ahead and stitch and serge. Make sure to press your seam allowance up, and we are all done.